Welcome back to another reaction and ting and ting and ting. I'm Mr. Giant, and we're going to go into one here that's called 101 Facts About Switzerland. I'm looking forward to this. I think I did one about the Britain and one about Canada. So let's see what I go on here with Switzerland thing. 101 things. 101 facts, excuse me, about Switzerland. Let's YouTube and Sibber and see what we could get out here and ting.
Greetings, Mother Factors!
Greetings!
My name is Sam, and today we're going on a figurative stroll through the mountains of Switzerland. The land of breathtaking alpine views, chocolate, and shady banking.
Chocolate?
Sounds to me like the recipe for a good time.
Yeah.
Yes, Switzerland has many well-known attributes, but how many do you really know about the land of Tina Turner? There's one for a start. For instance, why can't you own a single guinea pig in Switzerland? How did a bunch of Swiss soldiers... How did a bunch of Swiss soldiers... How did a bunch of Swiss soldiers accidentally invade a neighbouring country? And what did Roger Federer give to the devil in exchange for those inhuman tennis skills of his? What a backhand. What a backhand. 2 out of 3 of those questions are going to be answered, so get comfortable, decapitate a lint bunny, and prepare to get all Swiss stuff as we count through 101 facts about Switzerland.
Yeah.
I don't know why I debated yet, sorry. Number 1. Switzerland is a mountainous landlocked country in continental Europe, known for chocolate ski resorts and minding its own damn business. We're good? Good, let's move on. Number 2. The history of what's now Switzerland goes back many thousands of years. The oldest traces of hominid existence in the region date back to around 150,000 years.
Wow.
That's around the time when Yo Mama was born. Oh! That is a nice lady. Number 3. Remains found in a cave close to the town of Neuchâtel suggest that Neanderthals were living throughout what is now Switzerland as early as 70,000 years ago, and were present in the region for at least 30,000 years. Homo sapiens, aka modern humans, aka, well, us, appeared in the region around 14,000 years ago, and boy did we make ourselves at home. Number 4. After the last ice age finally got the heck out of there, Neolithic cultures eventually established corn growing and animal breeding in parts of the Rhone and Rhine valleys. The oldest known farming settlements in Switzerland were found at Garklingen and have been dated back roughly to 5300 BCE. Number 5. From about 1800 BCE, Bronze Age settlements were scattered throughout the Swiss plateau and alpine valleys, doing their
Bronze
thing,
Age.
making things out of bronze and whatnot. Good times. Number 6. From about 800 BCE, the area that was to become Switzerland was inhabited by Celts in the west and Rhytians in the east. One of the most powerful of the Celtic tribes, known as the Helvetii, controlled much of the relatively flat Swiss plateau that sits between the Jura and the Alps. Number 7. However, the Helvetii found themselves under constant harassment from marauding Germanic tribes who just wouldn't stop bothering them. No doubt irritated by these ghastly invaders, the Helvetii attempted to migrate to southwestern Gaul in roughly 58 BCE. Number 8. Once again, though, the Helvetii's plans were scuppered, following their defeat in the Battle of Bibracte against the Romans led by Human Pincus and Julius Caesar, in what is now East Central France. Caesar sent the surviving Helvetii back to Switzerland with their proverbial tails between their proverbial legs. Actually, they had legs. Number 9. A few decades later, in 15 BCE, Caesar Augustus annexed present-day Switzerland into the Roman Empire, and soon after the region flourished in an age of prosperity. The Romans enlarged old Celtic towns and built new settlements of their own. They improved water supplies and constructed arenas and theatres too. Say what you want about the Romans, but they made good theatres. Number 10. However, the Proto-Swiss could always count on continued aggravation by those pesky Germanic tribes, and this peaceful period ended with the invasion of the Roman Empire by German Alemannians in 260 CE. By 400 CE, Roman Switzerland had disintegrated quicker than Thanos could snap his fingers, and the Romanized Celts living throughout the Swiss plateau were occupied by various Germanic groups, such as the Alemannians, Burgundians, and the Langobardians. Number 11. By the 4th century, Christianity was doing what it does and had spread throughout the inhabitants of what's now Switzerland, having been brought to the region by Roman soldiers. And this was only a few hundred years after the whole Christianity thing started, so they were into it before it was cool. Number 2.
Man, the Romans they really took a big chunk of Europe, didn't they? That's crazy. Well, it's not crazy. I mean, it's expected. I guess with the times, everybody's trying to take over territory, you know, and be the dominant force in the world as they knew it back then. But yep, that's quite See, and that's the thing, man. Just when superpowers take over places, it just sort of I don't want to say dilute, because you can't really dilute humans, because humans are humans regardless of tribe and nationality and all of that. But it sort of changes the ethnic makeup of places and things, because they had to be like cross relations and stuff going on. But so how can anybody say that they're authentic this or authentic that? It can only be authentic human. You know what I'm saying?
Well over. In the 6th century, the entire region became part of the expanding Frankish Empire, continuing throughout the 9th century under Charlemagne as part of the early foundations of what later would be known as the Holy Roman Empire. Damn, Franks! Always expanding into other people's territories. What is this, medieval Europe? Yeah, actually, yeah, it is medieval Europe. Number 13. In the middle of the 9th century, the Swiss territories were divided into Middle Francia and East Francia by the Treaty of Verdun in 843 CE, before its reunification under the Holy Roman Empire around 1000 AD. Yes, the gang's all back together, baby. Number 14. In the subsequent decades, the region existed under the control of various noble houses, and it was around this time that members of the House of Habsburg began to rise to prominence. Fearful of conflict, which would lead to loss of their autonomy, delegates from the regions of Uri, Schwyz, and Unterwalden met on the 1st of August 1291 and signed a charter to form an alliance against the Habsburgs. It's this date that's now widely considered to constitute the creation of Switzerland as a nation, and began a period in its history what's now known as the Old Swiss Confederacy. Mazel tov. Number 15. Throughout the 14th centuries, the Swiss Confederates inflicted a number of decisive defeats against the Habsburgs, while other areas joined the original three in the growing Swiss alliance. No doubt chuffed by their own resilience, the Swiss Confederates continued to expand their borders and affirm their independence from the Holy Roman Empire in 1499. Number 16. As the fledgling states continued to grow throughout the 16th century, the rise of Protestant Reformation, led by leaders such as John Calvin and Huldrych Zwingli, created violent religious conflict in the form of the Wars of Capelle. However, the Swiss Confederation survived this tumultuous period and lived to fight another day.
There you go with that religious conflict again.
Number 17. And fight they did! Despite modern Switzerland's placid reputation, for up to 500 years, Switzerland's best-known exported skill was warfare, in the form of well-respected Swiss mercenaries who fought in the armies of foreign nations. It's been estimated that between 1400 and 1848, the violent talents of more than 2 million Swiss mercenaries were employed by foreign powers.
They were mercenaries?
The use of mercenaries
no, they're just chilling.
Powers, as well as the alienation between the predominantly Protestant Swiss and their predominantly Catholic neighbours, kept Switzerland out of the devastating 30 Years' War. Despite profound differences within the Swiss population, the desire not to be drawn into wider conflicts playing out across the continent kept Switzerland together. Number 19. When the 30 Years' War ended in 1648 with a series of treaties, collectively known as the Peace of Westphalia, Switzerland was formally recognised as independent from the Holy Roman Empire, after decades of being independent in actual practice. The Peace of Westphalia also disallowed transit throughout Swiss territory by foreign armies,
they were like
laying the foundations for Switzerland's principle.
So they were like a colony of Rome or something, I guess... not so much for lack of a better explanation, but they had to get independence from Rome. I guess that would be true. You know what I mean? Because Rome sort of annexed the whole place and thing. But wow, did not know that. Did not know they had to get independence from Rome. But of course, he said where they were living like an independent state anyway. I guess it was just a formality, which in certain cases is the same thing that's happening with the Caribbean, with England, and to a certain extent France and stuff. Like my country got independence from Britain like in 1974. You know what I mean? Not a republic yet. I think Barbados just became a republic, so now they're going to have a president instead of a prime minister. Interesting. So they didn't just annex other places, they annexed Europe too. Europeans annexed, certain Europeans annexed Europe. And then they spread out and they got to the New World and stuff and say, hey, this is mine. And then later on they say, hey, let's get some, the people say that we want independence and stuff like that. Wow. So this is an ongoing type of thing throughout history, you know what I mean? That's interesting.
Number 20. However, conflict over religion continued to erupt in Switzerland throughout the subsequent decades, and in 1798, famous short man Napoleon Bonaparte decided to exploit this instability and had French forces invade and annex much of the country, replacing the loose confederation with a centrally governed unitary state called the Helvetic Republic, after the Celtic Helvetii tribe that had originally inhabited much of the country. Look at that, it's a callback. Number 21. A few years later, though, Napoleon partially restored the sovereignty of the Swiss regions in response to continued unrest from the Swiss, who understandably didn't like being ordered around by the French. I mean, who does? Not long after that, Napoleon's empire collapsed in 1815, at which point the Congress of Vienna re-established the old confederation and enshrined Switzerland's status of permanent armed neutrality in international law. Number 22. Oh, it's all about me. Me, yeah, I'm the best, me. Taylor Swift. In the subsequent years, Switzerland experienced rapid economic growth, but old religious divisions continued to hamper progress. In 1848, after a tinsy civil war between Protestants and Catholics that lasted less than a month, which resulted in roughly 100 casualties, the people of Switzerland voted in favour of a new Swiss federal constitution, modelled in part on the Constitution of the United States, actually. This created the country's modern federal state, establishing a range of civil liberties and secured local autonomy. Number 23. In 1874, the Swiss amended their constitution extensively to establish federal responsibility for defence, trade and legal matters, and introduced direct democracy by popular referendum. Oh, referendums. To this day, direct democracy in the form of referendums remain trademarks of the Swiss nation. Number 24. Throughout the 19th century, Switzerland experienced rapid industrialisation too, and by 1850 it had become the second most industrialised country in Europe, just after Great Britain.
Wow.
However, the conditions for many continued to be very difficult. And between 1850 and 1914, roughly 400,000 Swiss people looking for better lives emigrated, mostly to North America. Number 25. Through a combination of military deterrence, concessions to Germany, and sheer good fortune, Switzerland managed to stay neutral and was not invaded by any outside power at all throughout both of the World Wars, despite being entirely surrounded by fascist powers after the fall of France in 1940. I mean, well, lucky them, I guess. Number 26. Still, Switzerland being invaded wasn't entirely up to the Swiss. That real piece of work, H to the Hitler, despised Switzerland's tradition of democracy and freedom, and at one point stated plainly that Switzerland possessed the most disgusting and miserable people and political system, and that the Swiss were mortal enemies of the new Germany. Indeed, Germany and Italy had originally planned to invade Switzerland with a plot known as Operation Tannenbaum, but ultimately they felt they had bigger fish to fry at the time. Number 27. Regardless, Switzerland wasn't quite as neutral as it may appear. As Switzerland was neutral during the Second World War, thousands of people deposited their money and assets into Swiss banks, hoping to protect it throughout the conflict. After the war, relatives of the depositors attempted to retrieve the wealth belonging to their family members, many of whom had died. Despicably, many of the banks refused to return the money and assets to the rightful heirs and kept it for themselves.
Wow. Cheeky,
Following the Second
cheeky.
World War and this tactic, I imagine, Switzerland began to integrate itself economically into the global community. However, the nation remained reluctant to enter international organisations, waiting until 1963 to join the Council of Europe and then until 2002 to join the United Nations, despite having hosted the UN's European headquarters in Geneva since 1966.
Wow, that's a
Switzerland
piece of
also
fact.
remains outside the European Union. Yep, they're the original Brexiteers. Instead, Switzerland helped form the European Free Trade Area in 1960, which operates in parallel with the EU but constitutes an economic alliance rather than a political one. Number 30. Today, Switzerland is officially known as the Swiss Confederation, because it's a confederation and it's Swiss and stuff. Moving swiftly on. Number 31. Geographically, Switzerland is divided across three basic topographical areas. The Alps, the Swiss Plateau, and the Jura Mountains. Roughly 60% of Switzerland's territory lies within the Alps, while the Swiss Plateau takes up a further 30%, and that remaining 10%
It's
is
beautiful.
all Jura.
Bumbleclad beautiful.
Number 32. In total, the nation of Switzerland stretches across an area of approximately 41,285 square kilometres, making it about 6 times smaller than the UK, and about 238 times smaller than the US. She's a skinny legend. Number 33. Switzerland boasts a total population of approximately 8.5 million people, each one with their own hopes, dreams, desires and ambitions. Numerically speaking, the entire population of Switzerland is comparable to that of New York City. Though the Swiss are
Wow.
most likely to complain about the MTA and shout, "Forget about it!" at random points throughout the day. I've been to New York once, and that's kind of what happened the entire time. Number 34. Most of the Swiss population is concentrated mostly on the plateau, since living in the precipitous Alps is generally a bit of a ball ache. As such, the largest cities in Switzerland are found on the plateau, while most of the more mountainous regions of the country are far more sparsely populated. Number 35.
Kind of like Canada.
Interestingly enough, foreigners living in Switzerland account for almost 25% of the population, one of the highest percentages in the world. In 2017, it was reported that 45% of people serving on Swiss executive boards were foreigners. Number 36. The sovereign state of Switzerland is a federal republic bordering Germany to the north, Austria and Liechtenstein to the east, France to the west and Italy to the south. Check it all out on Google Maps. It's all
Liechtenstein.
there. Take no spot.
That's something I'm going to have to check out. Don't hear much about it.
26 administrative subdivisions known as cantons. The largest of these is the canton of Grisons, which covers 7,105 square kilometres, which is a little under a fifth of the entire country. The smallest canton is Basel-Stadt, which covers only 37 square kilometres. Number 38. It may surprise you to learn that, technically speaking, Switzerland has no capital city. When the Swiss Federal Constitution was adopted in 1848, it was decided that Switzerland would have no official capital city in order to uphold the ideal of individual cantonal independence and autonomy. However, the country's federal government is based in the city of Bern, and is therefore pretty much Switzerland's de facto capital. Number 39.
Didn't learn that in geography back home.
Either, and instead has a 7-member executive council, which serves as a collective Swiss head of state. From these 7 members, a president is elected for a 1-year term, and during this time is regarded as the primus inter pares, or first among equals. As such, the Swiss president has no special powers over and above the other 6 councillors, and continues to head their particular department as usual. Number 4.
Huh. A 1-year term. See, that would force people to work together, I think, because then, you have 1 year up there, you put in your ideas and stuff, and then everybody work towards it, whether you get it or not. But you have 1 year to do it, so when you go in there, you have to get down to business. You can't say you have 4 years to do your politicking and your trickery and stuff like that, you know what I mean? Seems to be working. 1 year term. That would be nice, I think. I like that idea.
40. As already mentioned, Switzerland is well known for its system of direct democracy. For instance, Swiss citizens can challenge a law passed by Parliament if they are able to collect 50,000 signatures against a law within a period of 100 days. If successful, a national vote on the law is scheduled in which voters decide by a simple majority whether or not to reject it. Number 41. However, a couple of Swiss cantons take their national tradition of direct democracy even further than that. While most of Switzerland has moved on to more practical forms of voting, in the cantons of Appenzell Innerrhoden and Glarus, group decisions are made through a Landsgemeinde, or community assembly, an open-air, non-secret ballot held on the public square, whereby the people vote upon which laws are to be enacted by a show of hands.
Wow.
A tradition that dates back as far as the late 13th century. What do you think, though? Would you like to vote in huge open-air ballots like the Swiss? Let us know in our unfortunately not open-air, but still quite democratic YouTube poll.
Yep, but I bet that's a whole endeavor right there.
However, while Switzerland is often praised as a model for direct democracy, it hasn't always been the most progressive nation regarding voting rights. While all Swiss men were granted the right to vote in 1848, Swiss women were not able to vote at the federal level until 1971.
Wow.
Number 43. As if that wasn't bad enough, local elections continue to restrict the voting rights of women for even longer than that. In the previously mentioned canton of Appenzell Innerrhoden, women weren't able to vote on local issues until 1991.
What?
It was only granted after 2 women filed a lawsuit in the Federal Supreme Court of Switzerland and won. Indeed, a referendum to allow women to vote in Appenzell Innerrhoden was held in 1990 and was rejected by the canton's male voters by a margin of 3-2 in 1991.
Wow.
Number 44. The largest city in Switzerland is Zurich, which is home to roughly 415,000 people. The de facto capital of Bern languishes in 5th place with a measly 133,000 inhabitants. God, sort your life out, Bern, jeez. Number 45. Not being part of the old EU, Switzerland's currency is the Swiss franc, by being surrounded entirely by Eurozone countries. First introduced in 1850, the Swiss franc was also used by Switzerland's little brother, Liechtenstein. Number 46. As one of the most developed nations on Earth, Switzerland ranks at, or near, the top globally in several metrics of national performance, including, but not limited to, government transparency, economic competitiveness, human development, civil liberties, and overall quality of life. It's a nice gap. I really like what the Swiss have done with it. Number 47. Indeed, Switzerland is one of the world's best places to be born, live and be happy, as the country was ranked the world's happiest country in 2015, and in 2013 was declared the best country in which to be born, according to the Economist Intelligence Unit's Where to be Born Index. Number 48. According to the World Health Organization, Swiss men have the longest life expectancy in the world at 81.3 years. Swiss women can be expected to hold out a little longer than that, with an average life expectancy of 85.3 years, giving Switzerland the second largest life expectancy in the world after Japan. God damn it, Japan.
Wow.
Every time. Number 49. As you can probably imagine, Switzerland is relatively environmentally friendly, producing around 56% of its power from hydroelectricity and another 39% from nuclear power, resulting in a nearly CO2-free electricity generating network. Number 50. Switzerland's railway system covers a total distance of 3,100 miles. The Swiss rank second in the world in travelling by train, in fact, behind only Japan.
Japan.
Number 51. In 2019, the Swiss cities of Zurich, Geneva and Basel were ranked among the top 10 cities in the world in terms of quality of life, according to Mercer, the world's largest human resources consulting firm. Zurich in particular ranked second globally, losing the top spot to the Austrian city of Vienna. Number 52.
I heard that it's like really expensive to live there. Comment down below, let me know. I wonder if they have the same sort of social healthcare system there. That would be nice to know too. I'm not sure about that or anything. You know what I mean? But best place to live, second highest life expectancy. Sounds like a nice place to live. Let's keep going.
Situated at the intersection of Germanic and Romance-speaking Europe, Switzerland has not one, not two, not even three, not five, but 4 national languages. The vast majority of Swiss people speak German, with around 62% of the population speaking Deutsch. A little under 23% of the Swiss speak French, 8% speak Italian, and only 0.5% speak Romansh, a rare language spoken primarily in the aforementioned thick boy canton of Cuisine. Number 53. Still, around 60% of the Swiss population can speak English with a decent level of fluency, and as such, Switzerland currently ranks.
Yeah, that's beautiful there, man. Those houses up on the hill with the grass and thing.
English speakers. I can't even say it, such as the English speakers. Number 54. Due to its unique linguistic diversity, Switzerland is known by a variety of native names. To German speakers, Switzerland is known as Schweiz, while French-speaking Swiss people refer to their nation as Swiss. Native Italian speakers call Switzerland Svizzera, and the tiny minority of Romansh speakers use the word Svizzera to refer to their homeland. Number 55. In the interest of fairness, however, on coins and stamps, Switzerland goes by its Latin name, Confoederatio Helvetica, which is frequently shortened to simply Helvetia in the interest of brevity. Number 56. Incidentally, it's from Switzerland's Latin name that the nation gets its country code top-level domain of .ch. That's a fact for all you domain name nerds out there. I see you, and I appreciate you. Number 57. The word Switzerland is the English name for the country, which combines the word Schwitzer, an obsolete term for an inhabitant of Schwyz, which was later used as a term for the Swiss people in general, and the word land, meaning land. Number 58. Now, you may have mixed opinions on Switzerland, but you have to admit that their flag is a big plus. Literally! Oh, I've already said that. Damn it! The Swiss flag consists of a white cross in the centre of a red square, and is one of only 2 flags belonging to sovereign states that are square, the other being the flag for Vatican City. Number 59. Owing to the fact that most of Switzerland's territory falls over a large section of the Alps, it should be no surprise that Switzerland is home to some impressive mountains.
Oh yeah!
There's hundreds of mountains over 3,000 metres high, dozens of which are even over 4,000. Number 60. The highest of these mountains is Monte Rosa, which is located on Switzerland's southern border with Italy. The main summit of Monte Rosa, named Duvelspitz, stands proudly at a height of 4,634 metres. Number 61. In the region of Bavaria, in the alpine canton of Brisson, there's a tiny village called Juf, which is home to less than 30 residents. At an altitude of 2,126 metres high,
I'd like to
is the
visit.
highest permanently inhabited village in Europe. Number 62. The relatively small nation of Switzerland is home to an impressive 1,500 lakes. Switzerland is in fact so littered with bodies of water that one is never more than 10 miles away from a lake within the country's borders. Number 63. The largest lake located entirely within Switzerland is Lake Neuchâtel, which covers an area of roughly 218 square kilometres in the largely French-speaking region of Romandy. In 2015, scientists discovered that the bottom of Lake Neuchâtel was littered with huge craters, the largest of which is 160 meters in diameter, which were caused by erupting groundwater. Nintendo 64. Switzerland also shares Lake Geneva with France, which at just over 345 square kilometers is the largest lake in the Alps. Lake Geneva, which is incidentally also known as Lac Le Mans, is reported to contain more than 40 shipwrecks, many of which date back centuries. Number 65. In case
I wonder if
that's
anybody
been
ever died
impressed
then.
upon you enough already, Switzerland takes its policy of armed neutrality very seriously indeed. Military service is compulsory for all able-bodied male citizens, a model that was later adopted and expanded by Israel. While extending the draft to women has been considered, at present women are included on a voluntary basis. Number 66. Not only do most of Switzerland receive military training, much of the Swiss landscape is heavily fortified, though finding these defences may be harder than you think. Much of Switzerland is littered with quaint little chalets and country homes that are in fact merely disguises for fully stocked artillery bunkers containing cannons and heavy machine guns.
What?
While many of these fake buildings have been decommissioned, there are thought to be as many as 20,000 of them, often hidden right in the middle of populated villages. Number 67. Another of
That's-
Switzerland's main defence strategies sounds
That would be smart, you know, after they're surrounded by people that's been invading them and coming in all these years. That would be a smart move to have that as a defense, you know. I wonder if everybody in the villages and stuff know where it is. In case they do get invaded, they could go there to defend themselves.
like it comes from the climax of a Hollywood action movie, but is in fact totally real. At least 3,000 locations throughout Switzerland are rigged with explosives designed to completely demolish significant access points of the country, which includes numerous roads, bridges and railways set to blow upon command. Some hilly locations have even been rigged to trigger major landslides. Although many of these defences have been decommissioned in response to the changing nature of perceived threats to Switzerland, the extent to which these defences have been removed is unknown. Number 68. Switzerland's unique defences also include enough nuclear fallout shelters to accommodate its entire human population, should there ever be the need. The nation began building its numerous nuclear bunkers in 1963, during the height of the Cold War, when the prospect of dying under a billowing mushroom cloud was a distinct possibility. Number 69. Still, the Swiss military isn't perfect and has been guilty of the odd international cock-up from time to time. For instance, in 2007, a company of 171 Swiss soldiers mistakenly invaded the tiny nation of Liechtenstein after becoming lost in a rainstorm. The troops walked 2 kilometers to Liechtenstein before realizing their mistake and turning back, after which they informed their neighbors of the unauthorized entry. The Liechtenstein authorities took their invasion in stride, however, with one spokesperson of the country stating that these things happen. Number 70.
You mistakenly invaded another country.
Author Joanna Spyri penned one of the most famous children's books ever written, Heidi. The charming tale of an adorable orphan living with her grandfather in the Swiss mountains has been translated into over 50 languages and adapted for film and television roughly 20 times. Number 71. Though the cuckoo clock was actually invented in the Black Forest of Germany, Switzerland put its own spin on the charming timepieces with its delightful chalet-style clocks, for which the Swiss Confederation is well known. I actually have one of these at home, except the cuckoo is too little figurine to myself and my darling Breath of Summer actress and angel Jennifer Lawrence, depicting an arresting alpine scene of 2 lovers taking in the mountain view. Okay, I need to calm down. Next fact. Number 72. Switzerland is famous around the world for the production of luxury watches, which began in the 16th
that I
century
know.
after John Calvin banned displays of wealth in the city of Geneva, outlawing most forms of jewellery. However, as practical instruments, watches were exempted from these restrictions, prompting Geneva's goldsmiths to turn their considerable skills to watchmaking. Today, approximately half of all luxury watches produced in the world come from Switzerland. Number 73. The iconic Swiss Army knife manufactured by Victorinox was first manufactured in the late 19th century and is now renowned worldwide for its quality and usefulness. Every part of the Swiss Army knife is Swiss-made, with the sole exception of the corkscrew tool, which apparently requires the precision metalworking available only in, I can't believe this, Japan. Damn it, Japan! You again, Japan! Number 74. The iconic sensory juggernaut of the typeface world, Helvetica, was created in Switzerland in 1957 by designer Max Meininger with input from Eduard Hoffmann. Helvetica, which you may have already deduced gets its name from everyone's favourite Swiss Celts, the Helvetii, is arguably the world's most celebrated typeface, and long may it reign. Number 75. Switzerland's reputation for banking was fostered by the country's perceived stability as a result of its neutrality, which allowed the banking sector to develop and thrive. Hilariously, there are more banks in Switzerland than dentists, which is both intimidating and gross. Number 76. The Swiss version of Santa Claus is normally accompanied by a very strange-looking individual with a soot-darkened face, whose job is to beat naughty children with sticks. Santa's sinister companion is named Schmutzlei, which roughly translates to dirty. I knew a Schmutzlei in school. Nice guy, works in a call centre now. Number 77. The Swiss Guard, the famous personal bodyguards of the Pope, really do come from Switzerland, and are recruited from the Catholic cantons of Switzerland. The 130-man army originated in the 15th century during the age of Swiss mercenaries, and was officially established in 1506 under Pope Julius II. Number 78. Members of the Swiss Guard are known especially for their flamboyant Renaissance-style outfits, resplendent with yellow, blue and red stripes and paired with either black berets or a Mauryan helmet.
That is pretty.
Current uniforms were introduced in 1914 by Commandant Jules Rapon, and were inspired by 16th century frescoes of the Swiss Guard created by Italian Renaissance painter Raphael. Number 79. A number of important scientific and technological breakthroughs have occurred in Switzerland throughout the years. German-born theoretical physicist Albert Einstein devised his famous E=mc² equation in 1905 while living in Bern. And in 1989, English engineer and computer scientist Tim Berners-Lee created the World Wide Web while working at CERN, which is based in Geneva. Number 80.
Didn't know that.
Wormwood plant, the bright green spirit known as absinthe, originated in the Swiss canton of Neuchâtel in the late 18th century. Legend has it that the beverage was invented by Pierre Ordinaire. That's a great name. A French doctor living in Switzerland who sold absinthe as an all-purpose medicinal remedy. Also known as the Thé Vert or the Green Fairy, absinthe rose in popularity in the late 19th and early 20th century France, before being banned in a number of countries owing to exaggerated rumours of dangerous potency and psychoactive effects. Number 81. Switzerland is renowned worldwide for its chocolate, and in 2015, Switzerland exported almost 115,500 tons of chocolate to the rest of the world. One of the most recognisable chocolatey Swiss exports is the Gold Bunny, created by Lindt. The bunnies are decorated with a ribbon around their necks, which denote a variety of chocolate contained within. The milk chocolate bunny wears a red ribbon, the dark chocolate bunny wears a dark brown ribbon, hazelnut has a green ribbon, which is weird, why? And the white chocolate one normally wears white ribbon.
So okay, they're famous for the chocolate. Do they grow the chocolate crop there? Or is it all imported, or do they use something different to make the chocolate? I don't know how to put that, but you know what I mean? Because I know, like Grenada, we do chocolate, but we also grow a lot of the cocoa and stuff that produce the chocolate stuff, you know? Comment down below, let me know.
Number 82. However, probably the most famous Swiss sweet treat is none other than the delicious vase of mountainous chocolatey goodness, known as Toblerone. Known for its distinctive shape, Toblerone was created by Emil Bormann and Theodore Tobler in Bern in 1908. Though it's currently owned by US confectionery company Mondelez International Incorporated, who would do well to remember not to try and scam ourselves with chocolate by removing peaks and lengthening gaps in the bar like they tried to do in 2016. I've got my eye on you, Mondelez. Number 83. But the Swiss aren't just exporting the stuff. The average Swiss person eats approximately 11 kilograms of chocolate every year, more than any other nation in the world. Number 84. Other well-known Swiss foods include the rosti, a potato fritter originating in Bern, as well as raclette and fondue, which are both variations on the popular pastime of consuming near life-threatening amounts of melted cheese. Number 85. Tobacco consumption is widespread throughout Switzerland, such that at the time of the last government report in 2012, 28.2% of the Swiss people were smokers, compared to 19% of Brits or 16.8% of Americans, although this number is apparently falling. Good. Number 86. Switzerland has also been home to some of recent history's most well-known celebrities. After facing numerous accusations of communist sympathies while working in the US and having his re-entry permit revoked, legendary comedian Charlie Chaplin decided simply not to return, and instead landed in Switzerland, where he lived for the last 25 years of his life in a manor house overlooking Lake Geneva. Number 87. When Charlie Chaplin died in 1977, he was buried in Coursier-sur-Vevey Cemetery close to his home. However, only weeks later in 1978, Chaplin's body was stolen along with his coffin by two immigrants in an attempt to extort money from the actor's family.
Wow.
Chaplin's body was found several weeks later, after which he was reburied under almost 2 meters of reinforced concrete to prevent further corpse napping. Number 88. American-born singer Tina Turner is another prominent celebrity who spends much of her time in Switzerland, owing to the fact that she became a Swiss citizen in 2013 after relinquishing her US citizenship. Sorry, Uncle Sam, but you want to...
I did not know this.
Dan.
Well, that's
Well,
interesting.
I made no sense, but it's nice to do the voice. Number 89. In Switzerland, it's illegal for a person to keep certain pets, including guinea pigs, mice, ferrets, fish, and canaries for some reason, on their own, as Swiss law regards such animals to be inherently social, and therefore owning just one of these animals is considered abuse. As such, in Switzerland, you have to own more than one of these animals at a time, or none at all. Number 9. Switzerland also taxes its citizens for the privilege of owning a dog, the cost of which are determined by the dog's size and weight. Dog owners are also required to register their pooches and inform their local authorities if they move away or their dog dies. Wow, imagine if John Wick lived in Switzerland. Number 91. In fact, Switzerland takes the rights of its animals so seriously that the nation even has lawyers dedicated to defending the rights of animals in court. In 2010, a man was made to stand trial after he bragged about taking 10 minutes to catch a pike while out fishing, which was regarded by some to be an excessively long amount of time that caused the animal undue suffering.
Wow, that's crazy.
Number 92. In 1963, Swiss businessman and social activist Jean-Henri Dunant founded the Red Cross in Geneva, which has since grown into the international humanitarian organisation known around the world for its commitment to the prevention of human suffering. For his work, Dunant was awarded the first Nobel Peace Prize, alongside Frenchman Frédéric Passy in 1901, making Dunant the first Swiss Nobel laureate. Number 93. In case the Red Cross's Swiss origins weren't clear enough for you, it should be pointed out that the Red Cross flag is simply the flag of Switzerland with the colours reversed. Couldn't be more obvious, really. Number 94. There is a 500-year-old statue atop a fountain in Bern called the Kindler Fresse, which depicts a man eating babies out of a sack. Nice. Nobody is exactly sure why this exists, although there are a variety of theories. The first and most unfortunate holds that the figure is wearing a yellow pointed hat called a Judenhut, suggesting that the statue could be an expression of the centuries-old and entirely unsubstantiated anti-Semitic belief that Jewish people murder children as part of religious rituals.
Wow, even in Switzerland, boy.
Other theories suggest that the figure could be the Greek titan Cronus, who ate all his own children to keep them from taking over his throne. Wow, what a bad dad. While others contend that the statue is little more than a boogeyman meant to scare children into obedience. Number 96. In 2011, a Swiss jewellery company called Schorisch created the world's first diamond ring, in that they managed to produce a ring made entirely out of diamond. The ring took over a year to create using special laser equipment, and at a staggering 150 carats, it's been valued at $68 million.
Woo!
Number 97. There is a small village called Busingen am Hochrhein, which is politically part of Germany despite being entirely surrounded by territory belonging to Switzerland. Since the early 19th century, Busingen has been physically separated from the rest of Germany by a narrow strip of land containing the Swiss village of Dorflingen. At its narrowest point, this strip of Switzerland separates Busingen from the rest of the German state of Baden-Württemberg by only 700 metres. Number 98. There is a political party in Switzerland called the Anti-PowerPoint Party, which exists solely to oppose the use of Microsoft PowerPoint and other presentation software. The party claims that the use of PowerPoint can lower the quality of a presentation by up to 95%, and advocates flip charts as an alternative to presentation software. Oh, we're laughing, but they'll probably win over here. Number 99. The mountainous Valais region of Switzerland is home to Léonie de Farinay, which consists of just 3 vines standing in an area of just 1.67 square metres. The grapes produced here are mixed with others sourced from outside vineyards to produce 1,000 bottles a year, which are then sold at auction to raise thousands of dollars for different charitable causes.
I'm not a drinker, but I'll taste it.
Number 100. But there is yet another twist in the story of Léonie de Farinay. The owner of the world's smallest registered vineyard is none other than the Dalai Lama, who came into possession of it after it was bequeathed to him by renowned French Catholic priest and social activist Albert Pierre. This is despite the fact that, in his capacity as Buddhist spiritual leader, the Dalai Lama promotes abstinence from alcohol. Number 101, it's number 101, yeah. In 2009, voters in the mountainous and apparently prudish canton of Appenzell-Innerrhoden voted to ban naked hiking in their countryside due to a reported influx of Germans who insisted on conducting their alpine walks while completely in the nude. The population voted almost unanimously to impose a restriction on dangling rambling, which was described by the local government as disturbing. I'm sure. So that was 101 facts about Switzerland. Which one shocked you?
Wow, that's a lot of information there, but man, that's a lot to learn. You know, this would be helpful if you want to travel there, you know what I mean? It gives you like 101 places, bam, or 101 facts, stuff that you would want to look into and ask the locals about it, you know? You know, they have these people going around, you know, in the US and stuff and all, I guess in their own population and asking like silly questions and stuff to people, putting it on TikTok. That would be an idea to travel the world and do that, you know, ask the questions and see how the different cultures react to the same questions. Ask the very same questions you'd ask in this culture, in that culture, just ask it and see how they would respond. See if it's improper or proper or whatever. That would be a good idea. 101 questions, you know, and just go around the world. A good way to get to traveling and meeting people and figuring out the culture. Anyway, man, you all, thank you for watching this with me. I hope you all enjoyed watching this as much as I can, and thank you so much for all the comments and stuff. I'm gonna be sitting down and reading comments here after I finish watching a few videos because I love watching the videos. I love reacting, replying to your comments too. So keep them coming, and also keep the suggestions coming for videos that you would like to see me react to. And my email address is in the description, so you could send them there. So that way I have them in a spot, you know, where I could just go check them out and then see and react to them, and I have them like in a recorded area. So if you have a suggestion, the email is in the description. Just email me there, you know what I mean? Oh, shoot, just email me and say, "What's up, Giant? What's up, Mr. Giant? What go on with you and thing?" You know what I mean? Anyway, y'all take care of each other. Cool runnings.